So in looking at your staff, looking at people, what are their strengths? But more importantly, what are their passions? What do they love doing?
Letting that person interview your team, that is very different. And I think this is the best way. It takes the courage, confidence for you to be able to do this. That's so amazing. Hi, Beth. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sunny. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we met in London at Halo Orbit, and I got to learn a little bit more about you, your journey, and I would like to share that with the world because it's very inspirational, Beth. So can you please share your life journey, your career journey with us?
Absolutely. So I was in the retail world making $8 an hour in the Northern Virginia, DC area. And everybody knows that the DC area is very expensive. And I had my first child, 21, and it was very difficult and challenging to make ends meet. And so I shifted very quickly early on into the IT space. And for the first year in my IT space, my son and I were in a homeless shelter for the first year. And I managed to go to take classes. I managed to work and still take care of my son. And over the years, I have been learning more and more about IT, self-learning things, getting certifications and stuff. And I have worked my way up now to the role of COO. And along that journey, have been given and been presented with so many opportunities to be able to give back to the organizations that helped me many, many years ago. And I never finished my degree. I have a lot of certifications, but I'm very proud of my story. I'm very proud of the resiliency that I have and the lessons learned over the years, that whether that be through personal and professional, that I've been able to apply for the successes that I've had on my journey in my career. And like I said to you when we met, I was in the federal government contracting space for about 27 years before shifting over to the MSP world about 4.5 years ago here at R3.
Yeah, there is so much to learn from that journey. It's very inspirational. It must have taken a lot of mental strength and a lot of gratitude with what you have, and every day having that grind, having that grit to keep moving and keep growing. And yeah, there's just so much from your journey that we can learn.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I think we humans, we need to accept the fact that we're going to have adversity. Things are not always going to go the right way, whether that be personally or professionally. You're going to have these ups and downs. But knowing, if you look back in time, that you've overcome those things from the past means that you can overcome them again and you can keep pushing forward. About 8 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I still have that cancer. It's not a curable cancer. People look at me and they're like, they don't believe it. So it's a rare cancer. Actually, ironically, it's the same cancer that Steve Jobs died from, which was neuroendocrine cancer. But I have continued to work and to continue to push through and continue to be there, not only for my family, but my friends and my colleagues. And it doesn't mean that we shouldn't take breaks. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't have time for us, which I definitely do. But it's all about just keep moving forward and finding that strength within, or even looking externally to help encourage you doing things, hobbies or what have you, to help you keep pushing forward. Giving back is another thing that I have found to be great. So for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's very inspirational how you're leading your life, and we can all learn from this. And you have so much experience and a very diverse experience before coming to MSP world as well. So, question for you, Beth, is like, what's your top advice for MSPs, leaders that are just starting their journey in the MSP space? What is your greatest lesson that you would like to share with them?
Oh, that's a great question. So I often hear, and I hear it during interviews of new staff for the folks that have been in the MSP space for a while. This person doesn't have MSP experience. This person doesn't have MSP experience. And my background being in the federal government contracting space for about 27 years prior to coming to R3, I have found that that's not really the case. It's, to me, business is business. IT is IT. Cybersecurity is still cybersecurity. Compliance is still compliance. The biggest difference is the life cycles of contracts. And I think it's much easier for someone coming from the federal space going into the commercial space or in the MSP space. And I feel that the things that I have learned in the federal contracting space that I brought to R3 have enabled us to be so successful in such a short period of time. And I feel like some of the biggest challenges are just learning the language, learning the life cycle of the MSP space, just because it is so different, for sure.
Yeah, so be open to source talent from other industries, that don't limit yourself just to source talent from the MSP space. And you're right, I have been in the MSP space from almost like 21 years now. And one common thinking that limits us is that, hey, this person don't know anything about MSP. They have never worked in MSP. Why would you hire that person? But now I think people have started thinking a little bit like people where they have done well, or companies or leaders in terms of building better teams. They are thinking talent beyond the MSP box. And I think they're winning because they are bringing in other perspectives. And as you said, as long as you have a good onboarding plan that you can train people on what are the products, what are the ICP, the ideal customer profile, and whatever the variance is, now the person will bring something to your team that you don't have, or you can source from MSP. So I think that's a great thought. Thank you for
Yep.
sharing that. And my next question is, what are the most common mistakes that you see MSP leaders make? What's your advice for them?
Well, and I think this applies probably to any business, really, is not putting the foundation of your organization in place. And by the foundation, I'm talking the processes, putting a really documented processes and procedures, leveraging that, really setting up your financial accounting system to match and marry up with your timesheet system, to marry up and match with your quoting and system, so that the three married up together will better equip you for understanding profitability for your business and for your organization. Without the repeated process improvement activities too, you tend to go around from a chaotic state, versus when you put those documented processes and procedures utilizing some industry standards, for example, like ITIL or ISO 20000, you have something that enables you to see what things are working well and to easily see what things are not working as well,
Mhm.
and be able to continuously improve throughout your organization. So setting up for success, you're focusing on your people, your process, and of course your technology as well.
Yes. So people, process, technology, process being the focus to make sure that people know what good looks like to follow the process, right? It needs
Yep.
to be documented, it needs to be systemized. And when you talk about customer experience, I know you go out there as a speaker for many, thought leadership that you do in the space of customer experience, customer service. Yeah, share your thinking on how MSPs can deliver world-class customer experience, what it takes.
So I've been focusing on more of the quantitative customer satisfaction feedback. And I think a lot of MSPs will look at the help desk ticketing measures. Somebody puts in a ticket, they get a response, they close the ticket, the survey comes back. How well did you like the service we provide? Yay or nay? Great, wonderful, happy, smiley face. And that's great. But we need to focus on our customers as partners together, as one team, not an us versus them mentality. We need to really understand what their goals and objectives are and
Mhm.
stay in alignment with those goals and objectives so that we can help build with them and for them for the future.
Mhm.
And so we take it a step further from a customer experience satisfaction level perspective, where we have surveys that are on a rated scale 1 through 5. And we have questions in there about the quality of the services we deliver, the quality of our people that deliver those service, and using like net promoter scoring, NPS. Would you recommend us to others, basically? But we don't do it as I send you a survey link. We set up meetings with our clients and actually have a conversation. And oftentimes those become counseling sessions, therapy sessions. We don't have the survey. We don't perform the survey by the people performing the work. We have our QA, quality, compliance, customer experience team actually meeting with the team. So there's some independence. And you'd be surprised at how many customers, clients will convey things because people don't like conflict, people avoid wanting to hurt somebody's feelings, they don't know how to say they're not satisfied with something. And so oftentimes when they have somebody else to go to and talk to and give that feedback on, you find out so much more than you would as a account manager or as a program manager or what have you in that relationship. So we have this goal for ourselves that our surveys, our customer surveys should be a 4.5 or higher on this 5.0 rated scale. There's always room for improvement, but things that we take back from that are we may put a tiger team together to do some root cause analysis, to do continuous improvement, and we feed back that feedback into our processes and leverage that and learn from the mistakes we've made and to better facilitate the relationship building with our stakeholders. And I think that piece is so critical for success going forward. And it gives you a broader view, not just at the help desk ticket level, but which IT is a commodity, right? At least with looking at the end-to-end customer state for all the services gives you a much more holistic view into the clients, into what they're looking for, and better understanding and to be able to have the hard conversations with them. And I think it's successful. Your response rate, like industry response rate, maybe like 12% for surveys. We can get up to 75 to 95% with our clients' response rate for this type of approach.
Yeah. It's like one thing that comes to my mind, Beth, is like Uber or Lyft, the way like when sometimes people order their Uber or Lyft or whatever they're using, and the driver, no one is accepting, sometimes your rating is low as a consumer because like you are not doing things that you need to do to have the right rating for people the other side to have good experience. So I think that's a great thought, that if there is a way for MSPs to think that way, that hey, not only we're gonna get rated, which is so important, like it's so critical to get that feedback from the customer, but also, if there are customers where they're not well aligned with what we do and create value, that is not ideal customer profile, then starting that communication and understanding that this is the friction,
Right.
and this is why, like this is who we are, and this is what our ideal customer looks like. This is what our best customers do. And if they can change their way of working with you, you can serve them better.
And I would say too, it's kind of your first question in this one too, is that sometimes there is mismatch alignment with a client and they may be very toxic and detrimental to our people. We've had some abusive clients before, and we have stood by our people and we have fired those clients as a result of that, because we feel helping uplift our team and that we want them to know that they have our backs. But at the same time, we also won't tolerate abuse from clients either. And I think we should be able to do that. It shouldn't be so important that we try to make the money that everybody is just, you're being screamed at or for things that are not appropriate.
100%. Now, you have had a lot of success in your career, and the role of a COO is not easy. It's like it's like one of those roles which takes a lot in terms of time, energy, talent, and a lot of focus. And I'm very passionate about building teams, like building winning teams, and COO role to be successful, or any role to be successful in any leadership role, but in a COO role, you have different functions like cross-functional teams and teams within each function. Like there is a lot to focus on, a lot to do in terms of building people, building winning teams. What would you like to share with the world in terms of secret sauce, your secret sauce to build winning team?
So I always have felt that people and teams are like puzzles, and every puzzle piece is unique, just like people.
Yeah.
People have different strengths, they have different weaknesses, and you hire them for a role, but they may not work out in that role. So, you know how a puzzle piece comes together and you look it up. I mean, I'm getting older now, right? I'm like, I can't see those little nuance. Some of those puzzle pieces come together a little funny. So I hold it up to the light and I'm like, oh, wait, that doesn't quite fit there. I got to move them around. So, in looking at your staff, looking at people, what are their strengths? But more importantly, what are their passions?
Mm-hmm.
What do they love doing? Because if I can marry up their role with what they're passionate about and what they're good at, I can maybe shift them to a different position in the organization and company to fill in a need and to better fit the overarching puzzle. So that's how I tend to think about people. So even if somebody's not doing a good job with something, or if they're struggling, the first inclination is like, don't fire them. What are they good at? Do they have the fit, the culture fit here? And so about 2 years ago, or just under 2 years ago, I implemented reverse fit culture interviews.
Mm-hmm.
Reverse culture fit interviews. And basically what that is that when we're interviewing people, you know, you're always coming, you're asking them questions, and sometimes it's on a panel and they're a little overwhelmed and nervous. But then what we do is we take different people from our company at any different level, whether that be a help desk person, a network engineer, a project manager, another executive, a salesperson. We give their contact information to a candidate we've down selected and we're pretty sure is going to be a good fit for us. And we give them that contact information for them to reach out, the candidate to reach out to those 4 or 5 people to interview us to see if they would like to be here at R3.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't come across that in other organizations where people are given that opportunity so they can go and ask how the person likes it at R3. What's the culture really like? Because we give a wide spectrum of roles. You don't have only the leadership or only the managers or only the help desk people or only the field engineers. It's a mix of eclectic people for the candidate to really glean in and interview. And I think that works pretty well.
Yeah, that is so unique. I mean, I have been a student of building teams and wrote 2 books. I have never come across this type of thinking where you call it reverse culture
Culture fit.
fit,
Yeah.
where the candidate, once it's they go through the process, and you believe as a hiring manager or hiring team that that person is good fit. Now, letting that person interview your team, that is very different, and I think it makes perfect sense because the fit means a two-way fit.
Correct.
And normally we often make it like more like a one-way street,
Yep.
but you're making it a two-way street, which is, I think, very, very effective way of looking at it. And I think this is the best way. It takes the courage, confidence
Yep.
in your own culture and your team
Yep.
for you to be able to do this. That's so amazing.
Thank you. And what it also does, it encourages our internal staff to be part of that process, because
Yeah.
even the junior staff get to do that. I mean, how often do you find as a junior staff member that you get to do interviews, but they're part of that interview process. So they have a little bit of a buy-in for that person coming in too. So that gives
Yeah.
them experience as well.
That's so amazing. I think if there's one thing from this whole podcast that we can take back, is this is probably the greatest takeaway for me, at least, that this is a great way to look at hiring, so that you are bringing in people where they're so well aligned, because at the end of the day, misalignment comes from values misalignment.
Yeah.
And when you know your values, you are sharing those during your hiring process. You're letting the person to talk to a couple of people to see if there is an alignment of the mindset, the values, and the culture, basically. Then a lot of great things can happen, because you have done a lot of work upfront to see if it's going to be a good fit on both sides, and that leads to you being able to build a winning team. So that is so
Right.
amazing. And Beth, if people want to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Well, LinkedIn is always a great place. You can always also just call our phone number on our website, www.r3-it.com. Our phone number goes to our help desk, and it can get routed that way too. But LinkedIn's probably a great way to go.
Awesome. Truly appreciate you coming to my show.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your hospitality here. I am doing this from R3 office, and I truly appreciate you hosting me here and your hospitality.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Beth.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank you for watching Sunny's Silver Linings. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.